There's nothing that says love is in the air quite like a rampaging gorilla. Look, there's no need to ape out over the subject of today's video. Sure, there's a lot of monkey business involved, but I think it was a given that this one was kinda gonna fail, especially with how it feels like any primate out of the jungle probably could have written this. And don't you dare go bananas at me for saying that, because whether or not you like it is neither my circus nor my monkeys. But suppose this anime somehow turns things around, well, in that case I guess I'm a monkey's uncle. Okay, enough of the shitty monkey puns. Let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Oh, okay, I swear that's the last one. Today's anime to analyze is the Gorilla God's Go-To Girl, the story of a young woman named Sophia Reeler whose only desire is to live a peaceful life in the shadows while attending school. The defining trait of this series is that, while the body of it seems to be a shoujo reverse harem series with Sophia ending up the unfortunate protagonist, it has a somewhat creative power/spiritual system in that every animal has a god who grants people blessings based on the animal's abilities. Some people get blessed by stuff like dog or cat gods. Others get the blessings of more specialized gods like bird gods or something like a tiger god. And this happens to everyone, almost like a coming of age ceremony. And in all of this, I can't help but wonder what would have happened if you had gotten blessed by something dumb like a sloth god or a naked mole rat god. Seriously, as cool as the idea is, imagine that you're one day blessed by a god with powers that cannot be changed or swapped out, and the one who chose you was the devil's hole pupfish god. Fortunately for Sophia, that's not really what happens to her. Unfortunately, she gets aped instead.
Hold up, wait a minute.
No, not the Harvey Weinstein thing. Sophia gets the powers of the Gorilla God, one of the rarer and more famous blessings one can receive. Because that's what every woman wants, the unfettered super strength of a feral gorilla. Now, the serious question is whether 100 guys could take her down in a fight or not. In all of this, though, my interest in the show pretty much ends with the concept of the power system. I find everything else terribly boring or underdeveloped. Sophia herself is about as interesting as the characters get, but even she's not enough to really make me care about the show. She's basically trying to slink back into the shadows so nobody notices her, all while the gorilla powers prevent her from doing just that. If you're familiar with the anime Honey Lemon Soda from last season, you can point out the similarities between her and Uka Ishimori in terms of their base personalities. Both are shy and reserved girls, but while Uka seems to better herself and change her personality, Sophia only begins to interact with other people by what might as well be divine providence. To me, she comes off as an inferior Ishimori. And outside of her, you really don't have much better. You have your generic bubbly guy in Isaac the Golden Retriever Boy, you have generic standoffish cat boy Eddie, and the generic main love interest Louis, who all of the girls fawn over all the time and they all want to be with him. And Sophia's undesired closeness with these three only angers her bullies that much more, making her want to hide her presence even more. Where we're at now, Sophia is basically getting drafted. In spite of her best attempt at flunking out of the tests, since anyone blessed by the Gorilla God is historically given a spot among the military, considering how powerful the Gorilla God's blessing actually is. In spite of this world being at the bolt-action rifle level of technology, which would pretty much make it irrelevant as to what your blessing actually was. But none of it really catches my eye. Good fantasy usually has a rich world full of lore and history to pull from to make the whole story come alive in a way that merely having characters around can't. In this, the world around us feels so empty, it's hard for me to really care because that blandness rubs off on everything else. It's generic school setting in generic kingdom with generic military and generic powers overall. It isn't insufferable, it isn't something that is horrendous, and I can kind of see the appeal to it, but the whole show just feels so lifeless to me that I can hardly continue watching it. In fact, I've dropped it as of this week altogether. It's hardly anything that I would mock for being poorly constructed, but it's really not all that entertaining to me.